Good afternoon, everyone. I am Min Kai Chuen. I am a board member of the Institute for Procurement and Material Management, and I want to welcome all of you who are joining us today for the first of our series of 25-26 roundtables that you will find very interesting and informative. But before we start the lively discussion with our group of esteemed federal executives, allow me to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and Algonquin Nation. This is a place that has been a source of life, gathering, and exchange for indigenous peoples for thousands of years. We profoundly honor their enduring connection to this territory and pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. Our path forward together must involve a commitment to understanding our shared history, achieving actively amplifying indigenous voices, and working toward meaningful reconciliation. We recognize that many of you are joining this event from different locations. I encourage everyone to reflect on and acknowledge the traditional indigenous territory where you are located. Permettez-moi de souligner que nous sommes réunis sur le territoire traditionnel et non cédé de la nation algonquine Anishinaabe. Ce lieu est une source de vie, de rassemblement et d'échange pour les peuples autochtones depuis des millénaires. Nous honorons profondément le lien durable avec ce territoire et rendons hommage aux aînés, passés, présents et émergents de la nation algonquine Anishinaabe. Notre cheminement commun doit passer par un engagement à comprendre notre histoire commune, à amplifier activement les voix autochtones et à œuvrer pour une réconciliation significative. Nous reconnaissons que plusieurs d'entre vous participent à cet événement depuis différents endroits. J'encourage donc chacun et chacune à réfléchir et à reconnaître le territoire autochtone traditionnel où vous vous trouvez. So, to kick off this event in style, I'm delighted to first introduce the president of CIPMM, Ms. Melody Joron. As a distinguished procurement executive at the National Capital Commission and the interim president of CIPMM, Ms. Joron is not merely an attendee here today, but a key participant. It is with immense pleasure that I now pass the microphone over to her for a few remarks before we commence our panel discussion. J'ai le grand plaisir de vous introduire Mélodie Joron, la présidente par intérim de l'IKGM, qui a quelques mots à partager avec nous avant qu'on commence le panel. Mélodie?
Thank you, Minkai. I'm happy to be here this afternoon to welcome all of you to a brand new roundtable series. It sounds like it's going to be a great series, and today's topic is, I think, rather timely. I know it seems like we've been talking about modernization forever and ever, but with what we're dealing with today, with all of the phenomenal digital tools and AI that we have available to us, I think it's a super exciting time. And you have a wonderful panel here. So I expect that the discussion today will be extremely interesting and very lively. And I encourage you all to ask wonderful questions of these experts that we have available. So, avec cela, j'espère que tout le monde aime la discussion aujourd'hui et que je vais passer la parole à Minkai encore. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Thanks a lot, Melody. So allow me now to take a minute to mention that this panel is happy to respond to your questions and comment in any of the official languages you wish to use when interacting with the moderator and panelists. This event is also being recorded and will be available online on the CIPM website afterward for our future reference. Je tiens à mentionner que notre groupe d'experts se fera un plaisir de répondre à vos questions et commentaires dans l'une des langues officielles que vous souhaitez utiliser lorsque vous interagissez avec le modérateur et les panélistes. Cet événement est également enregistré et sera mis en ligne sur le site web de l'Institut par la suite pour votre référence future. Before we start our panel, I also wish to share with you information on some events that are upcoming. Lizard, if you can bring the slides. As indicated early on, this is the first roundtable this year. That is the fruit of the collaboration between the Canada Revenue Agency, Environment and Climate Change Canada, Parts Canada, Shared Services Canada, Global Affairs Canada, Public Services and Procurement Canada, and us, CIPM. Today's session is about modernizing procurement with AI and digital tools, and we are looking forward to bringing you 4 more roundtables within the next 12 months that you will find as informative, interesting, and useful. Other than the roundtables, I would also like to mention that our next national workshop is scheduled from June 2 to June 4, 2026 in Ottawa and at our familiar location that is the Ottawa Conference and Event Center. And for this upcoming year, we are honored to have the Department of National Defense as our premier partner. CPM has again set up a team that is working tirelessly to build an impressive agenda again that will be very compelling to all of us. We will have excellent topics on both procurement and and we will assuredly have motivated speakers, presenters, and panelists that we will be carefully selecting for this event. So don't miss the opportunity for training, networking, and to spend quality time with your peers and our PMM community. So please save the date. I would strongly recommend you to scan the CIPMM website to obtain the most recent updates regarding events and other opportunities from the Institute. So the wait is finally over. It is now time that I introduce our moderator, Jose Doucet, for this panel. Jose is the Senior Director of GC Surplus at Public Service and Procurement Canada, and she is responsible for the divestment of surplus control goods and specialized assets at PSPC. J'aimerais vous présenter notre modératrice, Josée Doucet. Josée est directrice principale, GC Surplus, Services publics et approvisionnement Canada. Elle est responsable du dessainissement des marchandises contrôlées et des actifs spécialisés à SPAC. José, c'est un grand plaisir de vous avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui et de vous donner la parole pour commencer cette table ronde. Merci encore.
Merci. Thank you, Minkai. So hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be the moderator for today. As mentioned by Melody and Minkai, I think we're going to have a great session. So I really encourage you to put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll get to those at the end of the questions that we have we'll be reviewing first. So first order of business is to present the great panel that we have today. So it's really my pleasure to welcome Jean-Claude Azal, who is the Director General, Administration Directorate from the Finance Administration branch at CRA. Since 2009, he's held the various management and executive positions across procurement and material management, but he's led 31 transformations of the procurement at the Department of Fisheries and Oceans in Canada, and he's currently the Director of Contracting Division at CRA. So I think we're very lucky to have him with us today. So welcome. We also have Danielle Pilon. Danielle Pilon is the Director General for National Accommodations, Domestic Procurement, and Asset Management at Global Affairs Canada. And Danielle's held a variety of positions, of course, including Director of Contracts at Material Management, Department of Innovation, Science, and Economic Development, and Chief of Contracts at the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. So, and interesting enough as well, he was also the chair of the PSPC Client Advisory Board from 2015 to 2019. So he has a really great understanding. Next, I'd like to welcome Maha Supal, who is the Director of Procurement Modernization, Compliance, and Training at Shared Services Canada. So she's responsible for leading the implementation of the Agile Procurement Framework with a focus on improving outcomes, enhancing scalability, fostering adaptability, and driving innovation. And she's also oversees the modernization of other procurement activities, such as like processes and procurement tools. So she's really at the forefront of what we're going to be talking about today. And finally, Gerald O'Farrell. So Gerald is the Director of Procurement and Contracting at Environment and Climate Change Canada. And Gerald is his procurement team supports several key environmental priorities for Canadians, which is, I think, is really interesting because we don't get to talk about that very often. But it includes like things like protecting species at risk and carbon pricing and plastics reduction, weather reporting, and other environmental sciences. And since he joined the public service a couple of decades ago, he's held a variety of procurement and management positions across the public service. So we really welcome his his experiences because he has led several digital transformation initiatives throughout the years. So welcome, Gerald, and welcome everyone. So as Min Kai mentioned, I really welcome you to, write your questions in the language of your choice. So I'm going to say the questions in both official languages. And the panel I think we had advertised was the responses were going to be in English, but however, again, I welcome you to use the language of your choice. So I'm going to talk. I'm going to start really with kind of like a general question, and I'll start with Maha. So I'd like if you could all just take a few minutes just to kind of like talk briefly about the procurement and material management functions at your department and what's being considered or done in terms of procurement modernization. Fait que, est-ce que vous pouvez comme brièvement parler de la fonction d'approvisionnement et de MM au sein de votre département ou de vos ministères? Et puis vraiment, qu'est-ce que vous faites en ce moment en termes de modernisation et de l'approvisionnement? So, Maha, I'm going to start with you if that's okay.
Absolutely. Donc, bon après-midi tout le monde. Bon matin, nos collègues dans la région, especially our Western colleagues. Super happy to be here. So at SSC, of course, procurement and material management plays a super critical role when it comes to our mandate. And so SSC's mandate is not to do procurement. It's really to support the delivery of IT infrastructure, secure IT infrastructure, and make sure that federal departments have the IT goods and services necessary in order for you to deliver services to Canadians. And so at that forefront of that is acquiring and managing the IT goods and services that need to be made in order for that to happen. One key aspect at SSC as well as part of our mandate is to modernize how the government kind of works and how we operate, and maybe look at things like efficiency across the GOC. And with that often comes SSC looking and assessing IT tools, whether it's software, maybe it's the infrastructure, any devices, like even the devices that we use on a day-to-day basis, and making sure that those are aligning with innovative technology and kind of what's new in the world. So in terms of modernization related to procurement, there's been a lot of work that we've done at SSC in the last few years. So Jose mentioned, our agile procurement framework that we've put in place. And so that is something that allows our vendor community, rather than us giving them prescriptive requirements, we actually go out with something called like a challenge-based solicitation. And so we explain what problems we're facing, and then the vendors actually submit solutions or innovations that would respond to that. We're also using various digital tools. So we've had a procure-to-pay solution in place for almost 10 years now, and it centralizes and automates and modernizes our entire end-to-end process. So all the way from requisitioning to invoicing. And then, of course, like everybody else, and what you'll hear on this call is that whole mandate of AI and really drawing some priorities towards AI. So SSC is in the same boat. So we're really assessing AI right now to see how we can further support the procurement and material management function by maybe automating some repetitive tasks and helping us move towards more evidence-based decision making.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I really like the challenge-based solicitations. Those are really interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, Gerald, I'm going to ask you the same question. And please, for our panelists, at any time that you want me to repeat the question, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, so bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everybody. So yeah, I oversee, as the Director of Procurement at ECCC, a team of about 45 procurement officers. We both have a policy team and an ops team. Roughly 4,000 or 5,000 contracts per year historically, so extremely busy, especially in the last couple of years, as there's been a lot of environmental priorities with the government of Canada. And I would say, like, I have a team that's really enjoys talking and exploring innovation. It's something that we really enjoy playing with and looking at technology and how it can make our lives easier and also for our clients. So like a couple of years ago, we launched a new e-procurement solution called Echo. that automates workflows, and it's a full end-to-end procurement management system where you can do reporting, store your documents, et cetera, et cetera. So we were pretty happy with that. More recently, the team's been looking more closely at business intelligence dashboards, and I was personally like really impressed with what they were able to produce. We used some of that stuff to do our Indigenous 5% reporting, and we pay more attention to like how we clean our data and how we can report on it more effectively. So that's been really good. I think most procurement organizations, as we know, also like are really good at producing data, but we're not always good at packaging that data and presenting it in a format that helps decision making. So Power BI dashboards have been really great for that. And I'd say like looking into the future, like we've got plans for a new system that we hope to launch within a year or two, where I think one of the objectives is we want to kind of look at how we can try to make the client experience and the client interface more user friendly, because like I think even though we've got a pretty good system, we notice that our clients, with all the forms that they have to provide, they often kind of forget forms, and the process is sometimes different depending on what you buy. So if we can have a system that maybe does a little bit of a better job guiding clients through the process and making things a little bit more simple, then that'll be a win for us. So thanks.
Thank you, Gerald. Jean-Claude.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour, bon après-midi tout le monde. So very happy to be here with you. From a CRE perspective, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but the CRE is a kind of unique organization within the federal family in the sense that the CRE has its own delegated authorities when it comes to administrative services. That includes the assets management, the fleet management, the
Oh, is it just me? Can everybody hear Jean-Claude?
I lost him as well.
I think we've lost him.
Yep.
Jean-Claude, we can't hear you. He's connecting. So I'm going to move to Daniel, and we'll come back to Jean-Claude when he's back with us.
All right. Well, you're lost, Jean-Claude.
okay, sorry,
I'll jump in. Okay. Let's go back to
Revenu?
Jean-Claude.
OK, d'accord. Excuse-moi, Daniel. Jean-Claude, je te recède la parole.
sorry, I don't know what happened in there. So I was saying at the CRA is at the forefront of technology and services to Canadians. We are called upon as well within my organization on the procurement material management, the mail, the National Form Distribution Center, the records management. It's a massive portfolio. We are called upon also to keep the momentum in terms of modernizing and supporting the various programs. Since 2008, and I say we are on a constant continuum modernization journey, which started in 2008 with the adoption of Ariba, the e-procurement platform, which now PSPC is using. And actually in 2021, we went to the cloud solution with a fully integrated solution. And I'll speak later on as to why I'm mentioning those keywords. But also when it comes to the processes, we've introduced a formal procurement plan, a formal divestment plan. We also have, we're looking at really processes, systems, people, and mentality. So those always go hand in hand. And when we talk about modernization, we cannot speak of one without the other. We have a multitude of tools as well. We have something we are very proud of. The internal surplus asset website is kind of this type of Kijiji, where the assets are kind of promoted. And things are tying very much together right now. I'm going to stop there because I can go on for forever, and I know we'll have.
I'm sure I'll have follow-up questions. That's for sure. So Daniel, now I'll ask you if you can reply to the question as well.
All right. Merci, José. Okay, global affairs. We are at the department. We're Canada abroad, right? We represent Canada's interest abroad, serve Canadians abroad, but also play a heavy part in assistance abroad, development, trade negotiations, so forth. So a very diverse department. With that, though, it creates a lot of challenges because we operate in 180 countries around the world. We have missions, we have consulates around the world, and we operate in different environments, different legal, jurisdictional environments, and so forth. So that adds a lot of complexity. On the procurement side, what does that mean for us in procurement and material management? It means that we have to be very, very diverse in our approach. And we also have to take a lot of risks when we talk about procurement and material management, because we operate outside of the sovereignty of Canada a lot of times. So anyway, all that, what does that mean? We have various support. So at Global Affairs, we have a domestic service. So we serve the department domestically in procurement, buying tables, chairs, computer software, and so forth, like most other departments. We have an international context that is mostly done well, some of it is done at headquarters here in Canada, but a lot of it is done internationally. So we have procurement authorities internationally in those 180 missions all over the place, doing purchasing, negotiating agreements, doing material management. And then we also have a procurement function that supports the development. So, support of UNESCO and different United Nations or development agencies. And Canada plays a part in that, and Global Affairs supports that. So that's a very complex environment as a department. On the procurement side, modernization, a lot of our efforts and initiative is geared towards modernizing how we support our international operations. So as you can understand, someone's reality in India or someone's reality in Burkina Faso when they're doing procurement is vastly different than the realities of Canada. So a lot of our modernization and a lot of our efforts go into supporting that function. So we've done a lot of non-technological modernization, like looking at streamlining rules and regulations, delegating, putting increased capabilities in the missions and internationally. But this panel is about AI and is about modernization using technology. And we've put our efforts into the same kind of aspect, is to simplify and to improve the procurement environment and experience to support of our mission. So what we've done is we're looking at large data analysis, so tools of operations and markets across the world to see where supply is for certain goods. How can we then look at maybe getting economies of scale, putting large contracts in place where there is a modern network of transportation of those goods and services internationally. We've looked at creating chatbots. As you can imagine, we have a very diverse department with a lot of rules in a lot of different jurisdictions. So we've created a chatbot that we are working on now, piloting, to help find information. You're in a specific jurisdiction, you want to do something in procurement, which rules apply? We have a lot of different websites on different sites, so we are working towards trying to create a more user-friendly chatbot experience to find this diverse information. We're also currently working, Jose, you have something, but I'm just going to finish quickly. We're also working on a statement of work builder. So we're working to try to develop, through the use of AI, a tool that will assist clients in developing their statement of work. And last but not least, we have, which used to be modern way back when, we have our requisitioning tool internally, which is called Shop at DFAT-D. Goes to show you how old this tool is, but it was an internal requisition tool that everybody internationally could submit their requests for requisition for goods or supplies or services. We're looking towards modernizing that using modern technology and more linking in closer with the financial system and creating tools like chatbots and digital assistants to help the client. Back to you, Jose.
Well, I'm just curious, Danielle, and I'll ask Gerald and Dan this question too. So what is behind this push for modernization? Is it, is it purely an FTE kind of exercise? Is it, finances? From your perspective, from global affairs perspective, because you were talking about while some of the modernization has to be done, outside of technology because of the pure location of some of your consulates. So from your perspective, what is that push?
So
or why is that push?
Yeah, good question. I'll answer from a global affairs perspective. So it's a bit of everything. But what I like the rest of government of Canada, resources are tight. We are asked to improve our performance. We are asked to modify our processes, stay in line with current trends and practices, adopt new technology. That's typical to any department. And we at Global Affairs are under the same pressure. Our tools have a tendency to rust out and age out, so we have to continue to update those tools and those processes. Specifically for global affairs, our international mandate and the support of missions in a global environment that is fast-paced, that is changing, requires us to modernize our operations. The way that we operate now might not be applicable in 2 years from now in certain parts of the world. So we do have a constant need to continually review how we operate, what the tools are available, and how they match the realities of our Canada's operation internationally. If you think about the trade portfolio right now, and 5 years ago, 3 years ago, trade had stabilized after the CUSMA agreement, the renegotiation. We thought we were in a stable platform. Last year, this was upended. Now we have to ensure that the department and our tools are geared towards supporting that trade mandate across the world, bilateral, trilateral, multinational types of trade agreements. These are things that change consistently internationally, which pushes us, even on the procurement and material management, our tools, our processes, our procedures have to modernize to keep pace with those realities.
And those realities are changing on a daily basis. So if I can ask Dan, if you have any comments when it comes to why this push when it comes to your department.
I think you mean Gerald.
Yes, sorry, Gerald. I said Dan. It's because I'm looking at you, Dan. Gerald.
Okay. Yeah, like in terms of AI, I think it's something we're starting to explore and play with. We've got all sorts of like cool little ideas to help, use AI tools to like build SOPs for us and whatnot. But I'd say we're at the very beginnings of that. So I think we're kind of excited and also when I talk to some people, a little nervous about everything that it can do. But for sure, we're most people are pretty eager to use that. I'd say like for us, we're really looking at it from the angle of simplification, and I think with this current government and what we're hearing from senior leadership, obviously there's a lot of talk about Buy Canadian right now, and I'm sure everybody's aware of that, but also simplification. I think looking at our processes and see if we can find ways to streamline them, make them simpler, and if it's possible, or if it's you've got the resources in your department to do that, automation. I mean, let's face it, I think procurement's got a lot of rules. And there's probably been a growth in the number of rules and things we have to check out or be mindful of. It's completely different than what it was 20 years ago, where you could just put out a call up against a standing offer and there you go. So I think we're really looking at it from that angle and the benefits that can come to us and to our clients in terms of efficiency and not maybe wasting as much time. And looking at how those tools can support us do our job.
So when you look at all of AI, digital tools, technological innovation, and what they can do, like are there boundaries? Do you think? Like, what are the limitations? Is that something that you discuss, Gerald?
Yeah, like a question for me, or yeah, like for sure. Like I find like especially in the context of AI, like I think it's really good for those of us who've used it. We can see like for things that are repetitive, or for doing searches, for example, on the internet, you can get a chat tool to give you in 20 seconds what would take you 30 minutes to search for on the web. Though I think one of the comments made in the chat, I was reading it from Jason Storm, is also that you kind of have to be careful also about trusting what these tools give you, because I've had the experience in my team, and you know, sometimes the information is not accurate. So I think there's limitations that we need to kind of be aware of. And I think in any event, like there'll always be a big place for the procurement officer and how they use their critical thinking and their judgment when using those tools. Like as far as limitations go, I think they can, like as far as challenges, like I'm, to be honest with you, like I'm not sure we're fully aware of all of them. I think we're at the beginning of something really big. So like, what is it going to look like in 10 years? I'm not sure I can answer that, but I think like we could see, for example, in the future, like having like these little AI agents that, and this is just an example, right? But you know, what if you had like an AI agent, for example, that could you do your bid evaluations, or if you're a client, it could just do your bid evaluations for you. You know, clients might think they're saving time, but what if a client gets an AI agent to do their bid evaluation, and then they just sign off on the bid evaluation, you know, taking for granted that, you know, it was good work, and then the AI made mistakes. So I think there's that notion of trust, but also the accountability that comes with using these tools. And like, I don't know that in the government of Canada, I think we're going to probably have to look at how we set boundaries and what's a responsible use of AI and what's not. So, you know, more to follow on that, but yeah, should be interesting.
And certainly, I think it's incumbent upon us as leaders to kind of make sure that we inform everyone as far as it, you know, we have to, and I think Alberto put that in the chat. We are responsible for educating our AIs as well, right? So we have to, you know, telling them where to go get the information. So no, that's very interesting. So I'm gonna go to JC and ask what changes to processes, governance, or strategies do you think are really needed to make modernization really work?
Thank you so much for the question. And this is, I think it's an important one. Um, when we talk about modernization, you know, this is not the first time in the government we modernize or we attempt to modernize our business processes. But in order to modernize, what I keep telling everybody, you cannot just go and automate, you know, archaic business processes. We have to start from the beginning. There's a difference between digitization and digitalization. Digitization is you go and, you know, you make a paper document digital. But digitalization, it includes actually looking at the process that you actually undertake or have, and ask yourself two things. Is this the best way of doing it? Are there any other way of doing what the work I'm doing? So looking at the process, then you look at the tool. We need to get out of what we call paper. You know, modernization, we are right now in a world where technology is advancing. The citizens that we serve are actually demanding from us. They use technology. The industry, the world, like, you know, the businesses, look at the mall culture. There's no mall culture anymore. You know, people are going more and more towards the digital sources and the digital services to be consumed. So for us, it's very important when we are looking at modernizing our business to look at the processes first. Can we do things differently? Now, get out of the paper. How can we digitize the tools that we use, the forms that we use? You know, it's funny, we talk about the 9200. Nobody uses, we shouldn't be using 9200 anymore, you know? And not only just go and scan in 9200, you have to start entering the information in the system, and that goes directly to whoever needs to receive it. Then after that, you need to look at the data, because when we talk about innovative data and, you know, new and emerging technology, garbage in, garbage
Garbage
out.
out.
Your data has to be clean, you know. So this is a very emphasis on it. And I know my colleagues, my employees at this area, they hate me. They hate it because we have a monthly data validation exercise. We put lots of emphasis on data. So in order for you to draw some analysis, to make some high level decisions and do proper market analysis, you need to have clean type of data. Then you need to have the tools. let's face it, we have so many tools, and everybody has, a tool. But we need also to look at going down to less tools and more type of integrated tools. And most importantly, it's the attitude. Because change, the first enemy of change is our attitude towards it. I see right now, I keep telling everybody, we are in a world today where we have one foot in 2019 and the other in 2025. We can't have both. We have to do a leap of faith and jump into the 2025 and embrace it. That's the only way to fully digitalize and modernize the way we do business.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jean-Claude. I'm going to ask Maha a question. Could you share some examples of like how your department is already using AI or digital tools or like modern technologies in procurement or MM?
Yeah.
And are there any that you think are like superstars?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I'll preface by saying that, I think the word AI and things like that are really getting thrown around now, and it's becoming a huge priority across the GOC. But I think for me, like one really important thing is it really needs to be assessed, and we really need to evaluate like a return on investment when it comes to AI. Like AI is not something that's cheap, right? So we need to make sure that it's adding the right value. And so to JC's point, if our processes are broken and we just add AI onto that and we pay a lot of money for it, I don't think that's gonna fix anything. Having said that, though, we are at SSC doing a lot when it comes to AI. So my colleagues in procurement operations, for example, are working on a competitive procurement vehicle right now for generative AI for office productivity. So when I say generative AI, or you're going to hear me say Gen AI quite a bit, think of tools that basically create human-like content. So think of the chat GPTs out there, or like the Microsoft Copilot. And so that procurement vehicle will be for things like Microsoft Copilot. So there are tools that would interoperate with like Microsoft 365 Office and try to improve some productivity and efficiency when it comes to how we work. And then speaking of things like Microsoft Copilot, so some departments and some of you on this line may already be familiar with Microsoft Copilot. You might even already be piloting it because there is a pilot project. We're doing the same thing at SSC. We are looking at it. So one thing that we're looking at is, and I think it was Daniel who had mentioned, developing some type of agents or bots to help our clients develop statement of works and evaluation criteria so that they're a bit more effective and more efficient. And then one of the other things is we have something called CanChat at SSC, and some other departments are being onboarded as well. But CanChat is essentially another generative AI tool developed by our SSC's artificial intelligence program. So SSC is so committed to AI that we have a full program and team that's looking at this stuff. And it's essentially the Government of Canada's version of ChatGPT. It's just that it's founded more on Government of Canada policies, values, and so on. So that's the content behind the scenes that it's fed into CanChat. So currently it's being used for unclassified information within SSC, but as I mentioned, and I'll be proactive and say it up front because I think there'll be questions, this will be deployed to other government departments in the future. There's a handful of departments that are currently being onboarded, but more departments will be onboarded as well. So some of the things we're using CanChat for, it varies, but it helps draft content. So a basic example, let's say as a procurement officer, you're responsible for a new complex procurement project and you're having to brief your senior management on it, and you have to do a PowerPoint. It kind of helps you kind of create that structure for that PowerPoint. We recently actually used it within our training team and our procurement training team, and it was a really great example, but we basically uploaded all our procurement training content. We offer many courses related to Agile and procurement training at SSC. We uploaded all that content into CanChat, and we basically asked it to assess these courses for redundancy, assess the return on investment, and the findings were amazing. Like it came back and we realized amongst like 3 of our courses we have the same content and it's duplicating content amongst the courses. We noticed that some of our courses are, barely anybody's coming into them. So what's the point? There's no high return on investment. And so that's helped us now reduce the number of courses we're offering and really invest in like the courses that are adding value. So honestly, for me, like I've used it a few times. It's a great tool. And so kudos to our colleagues within the AI program at SSC for that innovation there. But those are some of the examples. And then I mentioned our procure to pay system at the onset as well. To me, I mean, it's been 10 years since we've had our procure to pay tool. It's a completely end-to-end workflow automated approval process. Again, very much end-to-end. It involves suppliers. Suppliers bid through this tool. So a really great system that we've now had in place for over 10 years, and we continue to improve it and mature it as things change. So lots of great work happening.
Thank you. Thank you. Jean-Claude, can you speak to that as well? As
Yes.
far as like, yeah, what you're already doing and what's any superstars?
So, from a CRE perspective, we've been playing with AI for quite some time. So, we started during the pandemic introducing the AI functionalities, and much like what Maha said, we have our own version of generative AI. We call it Jenny. So, I want to take a step back just for the benefit of everybody. Artificial intelligence, it's actually an IT type of program that uses functionalities and do work that usually requires or are done by a human in terms of thinking. But I want to emphasize on the letter A. It's an artificial intelligence. It does not replace the human. And I think this is important for everybody because right now there's lots of information, misinformation, and disinformation out there about that topic. And when we talk AI, people think right away the Terminator movie or the Star Trek. We are leap years away from that. We're not there yet. So these are tools. Keep me here, Scotty. Not right now. Don't beat me up right now. So, from the CRE perspective, our program areas have been using AI in lots of business lines. For us in procurement right now, we are working on the same initiative that Dan has spoken about and Maha, but we have already implemented the robotic process automation, which is also it's a technology. So as you know, we monitor 100% of our acquisition card data. And this is a tedious exercise that has lots of people involved in it. And in my mind, there's no growth on an individual level, at the employee level, to go from there. So now we have a robot that takes care of the monitoring of all of the acquisition card data and actually with communicating with the end users. And we have other use cases. One of them is actually have the same chat function, and the team is working on, before you reach out an officer, you can ask the question to the chat, and it will tell you, based on the CRA policies, what is it that you need. And when you have a real requirement, then you can communicate with somebody else, and so on and so forth. So within the agency, also labor relations are using the same thing. So any environment that is highly regulated with policy and rules, the use of artificial intelligence would be a great use case.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned labor relations, because that was going to be one of my questions is, with AI, like, do you see AI technology like replacing jobs in procurement and material management? I know that's a concern. And how would you respond to those concerns? Are there certain skills or mindset that you see that procurement professionals should be focusing on in the years ahead?
Thank you so much for the question. I think this is a concern for every colleague I speak with in my organization and outside of the organization. We have an announcement this morning from Google. They want to from Amazon. They want to lay off so many people for the sake of artificial intelligence. We're not there. We have to remember we are a citizen-oriented type of service. There are certain aspects of the work that we do can be automated, but not all of it. When I take a look at our material management and our procurement communities, I don't see the technology replacing. I see the technology becoming an extension, augmenting the work that we do, especially as we get more and more data savvy and we rely more on data. Those tools can sift through tons of data, terabytes of data in no time and produce reports for us. And I see our work changing, not our role changing, but the work we do. We're going to move away from a transactional type of officers to more strategic and enabling functions that, quite frankly, ministers have been asking this of us for quite some time, for a number of years right now. So I don't see us being replaced. I see us being complemented. And if we go back a couple of decades ago when Excel came in, Microsoft came in, and we have the secretaries with the typewriters. we still need admin assistant. The work has evolved. The tools that we gave them have evolved. And I see this very much in the same vein, not being replaced, but being supplemented, augmented to do the work.
No, I completely agree. And it's funny you mentioned those tools because I remember like there was fear back then. And so, as much as things change, as much as they stay the same. Danielle, you have a question, and I'm going to ask you to respond to the same question. And if you have a question for Jean-Claude, please feel free.
It's not a question. I think I want to support what Jean-Claude is saying. With AI, there's a lot of fear in general, as human beings, but also in the government community and as procurement officers and agents and material management. There's a lot of fear, and here's my position on AI and what it's going to mean. Right? It's not a question of extinction. It is not a question of we are going to lose our job. We're going to be replaced by our robot overlords. It's a question of evolution. And like anything, like you mentioned the admin assistants and that, our jobs will change. There are certain parts of our jobs that will be automated, but our jobs will not disappear. We are government. We like Jean-Claude said, we serve Canada. We are expected to promote values, to uphold Canadian, aspirations, and these are things that AI doesn't do. And although let's just say the more repetitive, lower value tasks may be taken over by AI, this will be a supplement to what we do. It will free up time. It will allow the procurement function to evolve. And I've got a couple of examples. Your procurement officer nowadays who's looking at setting up a contract spends a lot of time looking at terms and conditions. Which clauses should I put in there? And this is important, but this is rules-based decisions, and that is something that AI can do. If you give AI the rules and you give it the data, it can make rule-based determinations. The procurement officer is going to be feeding AI this information, is going to be getting a result, is going to validate that result, and then is going to use that free time that officer has to do bigger, more strategic type decisions, value added, applying judgments like, okay, well, what's the supply chain like? What can I advise my clients? Where are the risks in this procedure? Which jurisdiction I'm in, right? It's an evolution, and our procurement officers will be spending less time combing through the supply manual to try to find the appropriate terms and conditions. AI is going to supplement that. On the material management side, it's the same thing. I'm really, really interested in the connectivity point between, or the intersection between connectivity and the use of AI, right? If you think about our assets that are for us around the world, or that you in departments have, the material management that have to track, that have to do life cycle assessments, that have to quality assessments. How is that asset performing in that? If you take those assets and you connect them, so you introduce a connectivity through technology, Wi-Fi, RFID, things like that, and then you have AI that is very good at 24/7 monitoring. That's what AI does. Never sleeps. It is able to look at outputs from these assets all the time, and then provide an analytics and data towards a material manager that can then make decisions, that can take strategic approach to managing those assets, as opposed to looking at data in spreadsheets all the time and trying to connect to various sites to see, well, what's the status of this asset? Is it in good condition? Is it need repair? What's the rust out? All of that stuff AI will do and will supplement. So we, in our job functions as procurement material managers, we will evolve. We will have more time, better tools, and we will be better at our jobs with the use of AI. We're not becoming extinct. We're going to use this technology to offer better services. Thank you.
I think that is thank you, Danielle. And I think, you kind of highlighted the fact that it's really important, the type of information that we're feeding. And so that garbage in, garbage out mentality is a reality. And we can't just take what's brought back forth to us as, for granted that it's accurate. And so I'm going to ask Gerald. Gerald, how do you think like managers and leaders can help their teams with this transition? Like, and I'm not talking about just anxiety, but really like helping the staff see opportunity in these changes.
Yeah, well, I think a great start, just kind of be transparent about it. Hopefully, like we're being today, have open conversations with staff about what you're doing and involve them in the process if you can. I think the great way of getting people used to these tools is actually if you get them involved in using them and possibly developing them if they're interested in doing that. I mean, for sure, like kind of going back to the question about what's how is AI going to evolve the role of the procurement officer? I think another great thing you can do is try to send them on training since like I think we were kind of getting at there's such a thing, like using AI is kind of like a skill, really. And I think it's going to become a skill more and more useful for procurement officers. I could even see a day where officers who are really good at using AI and using prompts and structuring their questions the right way, because I think the trickiness around using AI is how you actually ask it a question. But the people who are really good at doing that will definitely definitely have an edge in terms of their ability to do work. So I think those are a couple of things that managers can do.
But that information, as they learn what works, can be shared and should be shared widely. So I think that's something that hopefully with CIPMM is something that we're going to be able to, moving forward, kind of help disseminate that information. Jean-Claude, did you want to jump in on this question?
Absolutely. And thank you for letting me in on this one here. My advice to executives, managers, employees, every level of the organization, we cannot talk about transformation without engaging everybody. So to me, the message would be give the time and the space and the tools to your employees. Let them play with them. Let them explore the opportunities within their own day-to-day business and come forward to tell you, you know what, I've played with this tool. This part of my job, I think we can do it better if we implement it. Transformation cannot be just top down. Everybody in an organization needs to contribute. And who knows more the job than the employee who's doing the job? So I think we need to give them the space. First of all, give them the tool, give them whatever they need, the training, and let them play, let them explore. And they can come to us and say, you know what, this part of the job, there's no added value for me doing it. I can have the AI do it. I can focus on this. I can focus on that. There's more value added. And I think this the approach we need to do and take if we really want to transform and go all of us together on that journey.
I completely agree. And I think that there might be, a fear of engaging everyone in that conversation because there has been protectionism when it comes to our jobs. But, we have to trust in the process, and that by being more efficient and effective, then maybe we end up doing more procurement and then the right type of work instead of focusing on the minutia of the details. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Maha, I'm curious, based on your experiences, are there like best practices or lessons learned, or like maybe a single piece of advice that you could give procurement and material management officers based on your journey?
Yeah. And I just want to like add to what my colleagues have been saying. I think we have to remember, like, as PGs in material management and procurement, like, these are functional experts. And as far as I'm concerned, knowing my colleagues in operations at SSC, no system or solution will ever be able to replace the value that they add, right? And I don't think clients and vendors are going to want to deal with bots and systems for this. So there's no doubt in my mind that would never be a thing. We can't replace what procurement offers and material management offers. In terms of experiences, I think JC actually kind of touched a little bit on it, but in my viewpoint, it's all about starting small and being iterative. Like, I think we have a tendency in the government to kind of just go full-blown deployment when it comes to new things that we're putting in place. And we give the tools and we give the resources that users need, but I think we expect something to be successful immediately just because we deployed it. And so for me, with things like AI or any new tool or system that's being put in place, like it needs to be done in an iterative approach. Like we need to be able to have more of a controlled environment where it's tested by a couple, they provide feedback, we refine, we keep doing the cycle until we feel like this is truly in an environment that is realistic. We're not making assumptions of how it will work or if there's going to be potential issues in the future. It's actually based on what's been tested. And we've done that quite a bit from an SSC perspective. Like a lot of things that we've rolled out from our procure to pay solution to our agile framework, like we started really small on just pilots, maybe one branch, and then refined and scaled that up as things progress. So I think that aspect is extremely important, and the fact that learning from it and then taking more of a holistic GOC perspective. It doesn't make sense for each department to kind of do something on their own. So kind of creating that community of practice and folks sharing things would be really helpful in these types of situations.
So based on that response, looking ahead 5 years from now kind of thing, what do you envision procurement and material management roles? How do you envision them evolving with AI and technology?
To me again?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I think
I'm going to ask this of everyone. So
yeah, no worries. To me, like the procurement and MM functions will just be more technologically enabled. At the end of the day, like AI can help us and digital tools, like we can't, not just AI, like to me, technology in general can help us maybe be more efficient and maybe enhance productivity. But I think that aspect of like the creativity, the innovation, the judgment behind that still is human centric. So to me, it's like a hybrid approach of working with tools like AI and working with digital tools. But once again, that's not going to remove the need for our procurement and material management expertise, judgment, still making sure that these tools are working in an ethical manner. Like we can't forget the fact that we're governed by a lot of policies, and an AI tool is not necessarily going to interpret things in that way all the time. So for me, I think it's a hybrid approach. Like, yes, we can absolutely leverage these tools, but all in all, at the end of the day, the human-centric approach is critical and needs to remain regardless of what tools we're using.
thank you, Maha. Gerald, where do you see us in 5 years?
Sort of, in the same line. I think these tools are going to accelerate the pace at which we can do our work, but I think it's also going to free up some time to do things that maybe we don't have enough time to do right now. Officers spend a lot of time, for example, working on templates and doing certain activities that, if they can be done a little bit faster, then that may, free up more of their time for things like relationship, building, spending more time with their clients. To understand their needs and help them with their procurements, in advance. I think there's going to be like some new kinds of work like that are going to become available to officers. Maybe more time to actually do contract negotiations, on sole source contracts. Usually we, some of us kind of, don't always have a lot of time to really kind of look into pricing or as much as we'd like to. So I think there's like all these value added activities that should, that will open up. I always like to think of the internet as a comparison, and some people will will say that AI is different than the internet, but like we kind of think of the internet really, did it actually, take work away from us? I kind of think it actually created more work for us, but we're doing things because of, with internet, because of the pace at which it's accelerated. A lot of the things that previous to that had to be done, manually. So I think AI is going to be, very similar in that regard.
It's funny you say that because, MS Teams was such a great tool for us during the pandemic. And now it's become, it's so prevalent that you're trying to have meetings and trying to have discussions. And at the same time that you're getting 100 emails a day, you're getting 100 messages a day. And so it's just increased our workload in some cases. As I know, for me, it's certainly an issue. It's going to be really interesting to see where we do get in 5 years. Jean-Claude, I'm curious, where do you see us in 5 years?
To be honest with you, in 5 years, I see our role elevated to the role that I've been always since I became a PG, have been vocal about it. I think procurement officers will become trusted advisors that balance policy, data, technology in for the sake of enabling program delivery. And material management, I see them becoming asset strategists, again, ensuring fiscal prudence, sustainability, and shifting from compliance and process towards insight and strategy, going from policy enforcement to focusing on risks and ethics stewardship, going from document management, going to data interpretation, and so on and so forth. So
I
really
love that.
elevating the work that we do in that space from a transaction to an advisor to ministers, deputy ministers, and ADMs.
Thank you. Danielle, I got to give you
Yeah.
the opportunity as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next 5 years. I'm optimistic. I know people think AI and our robot overlords, and that's scary. I'm actually very optimistic. Sometimes in procurement and material management, there are just so many rules. There are so many data points. Sometimes you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. You know what? We actually have a tool now that is being developed that will manage this fire hose and we'll be able to drink from that fire hose and manage the data and help us harness the full power of all the data not only is already available, but that will become more and more available. We talk about the internet, right? Gerald talked about the creation of the internet. These tools that are being developed now in AI, they will only assist the human condition in making value-added, ethical, and proper judgments. I echo my colleague Jean-Claude. We will be strategic advisors. We will be making we will not be looking at, well, which trade agreement applies to this and which clause should I be using that. Those are important, but those are things that AI and technology will assist us in doing. We will be strategic advisors. We will be making value-added decisions. It's
not data driven.
That's correct. And we will be harnessing the data. And I say again, the connectivity aspect of using technology that is connected with the data analysis capacity now that exists and is being developed is going to be phenomenal for our work in the procurement and material management field. Very, very excited where this is going.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you very much for this portion of the session. We have a lot of questions in the chat, so I'll be very honest. I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of them, but we're going to start. And the first one I believe is directed at you, Maha, and it's in French, so I'm going to read it in French. And if you could respond in kind, it would be great. Avez-vous une stratégie d'achat pour vos ordinateurs et des cellulaires? Et quelle est la durée de vie des ordinateurs achetés? Ça, je peux dire que c'est SSI qui décide ça. Et puis, faites-vous encore affaire avec les ordinateurs pour les écoles et plus pour donner vos ordinateurs cellulaires et autres lorsqu'ils ont atteint leur fin de vie?
Okay, parfait, merci pour la question. Oui, absolument. On a des stratégies d'achat pour tous les appareils comme les microcomputers, etc. Mes collègues dans les équipes d'approvisionnement opérationnel gèrent plusieurs véhicules d'approvisionnement dans ce domaine et gèrent un processus request for volume discounts. Donc, the more we buy, the less we pay type of approach. Et tous les demandes pour ces types de produits sont faits via le système IT Pro de SPC. En général, je n'ai pas un expert concernant la durée de vie des ordinateurs, mais en général, c'est environ 3 à 4 ans. Et à ma connaissance, oui, on utilise toujours des ordinateurs dans l'école, mais cette initiative est gérée par SPAC.
Merci. Puis le Computers for School Program, je m'excuse, je ne suis pas certaine comment le dire en français. C'est certainement, en temps de GC Surplus, c'est un programme avec qui on fait affaire souvent. Puis c'est avec SSI, fait que c'est un bon programme. Il y a une question, est-ce que certains louent leurs ordinateurs? Ça, je vais demander ça à tout le monde. Est-ce que tous les ordinateurs sont achetés? Ou est-ce qu'il y en a
Ouais.
qui sont loués? Sont tous achetés, hein? Oui, c'est
Il y en a
ça
quasiment
que je
acheté.
crois. Oui, OK, parfait. Fait que merci, Catherine, pour ces questions. Bon, j'ai une question. It's anonymous, but it's someone that says, I can see a gap sometimes in MM and finance. So quick question on AR software as far as capital assets. So in your opinion, should it be tracked in, I think this is a very technical question, so I'm not sure if our panelists are going to be able to answer this, but it should it be tracked in SAP material management, like inventory, stock staging, like hardware, or in capital assets? So that's AI software. I'm not even sure where that would fall as far as the type
Can
of assets. Jean-Claude?
let's take a stab at it. So
Absolutely.
I have to say that the AI is not a software, it's a functionality. So there's lots of software that comes with this functionality. So if you take a look at the Microsoft 365, Copilot is there. Take a look at Google, every tool, they have this functionality. So in and of itself, it's not, we cannot just go and get it. Now that software, if the software it's a software as a service, then it's a service and it's not treated through the capital. If it's actually like we used to buy it on CD and we own it, then that becomes capitalized. So the world of software is also changing big time because as a result of the software as a service. But AI in itself it's a functionality that comes with lots of software we are buying in the government.
Okay, no, excellent. I think that was actually a really good question. I love when we learn new things, eh? So this question is, or comment, it says, it's often noted that successful AI requires not just lots of data, but high quality data, right? And the well-executed data strategy, that's something we talked about. So the Procurement Ombud is recommending the establishment of a horizontal government-wide framework for procurement data collection to increase transparency of federal procurement and facilitate informed decisions. So the question really lies in what are the current gaps in procurement data and what potential solutions you envision in these gaps. Please, I'm going to direct it, I think, to Danielle. If you don't, if you want to answer, please lift your hand up because some questions you'll be better positioned to let me know who should be answering this. So,
Yeah.
This
is a very good question. When we talk about big data and data analytics, obviously makes sense. The more data you have, the more accurate the data is, the better that AI can then harness that data as a learning tool and predictability tool. So right now, the gaps, I mean, what are the current gaps? I think we all live it, right? We are all very much in our own departments. We have our financial systems, not all the same financial system where a lot of this information resides right now for procurement data, financial data. There are some common financial systems, but even within those instances, we talk about SAP, we talk about Free Balance and the various systems, there are different versions and different use of the financial systems and integrations within the module. So we still live in a very fragmented environment. Now, what can we do? What potential? If we found a way to harness all this data and build the right connectors to have this data speak to each other, or at least to bridge the gap of the various data centers. So just financial systems, we would get a more holistic picture, better data. I mean, that's inherent to the question themselves. I think what are the solutions? Well, I think OPO talked about it, right? In their last public committee appearance, they talked about centralization of certain things. They talked about centralization of data. I do know that our PSPC colleagues are putting in place a vendor management system where vendor management data is now going to be accumulated and harnessed across government wide. And if departments feed into that data, we have access to that data. So again, enabling big data, enabling better visibility and use of shared data. And I think those common initiatives, sometimes led by central agencies, sometimes recommended and championed by organizations like the Auditor General or the OPO, they're great initiatives. I think those are the solutions. We, as technology evolves and our reliance and our need for using big data increases, we're going to need to find better ways of sharing that data. And even in the department, your IT sections are working on these individual databases that you have within your department that do certain things and track certain things. I'm sure your IT departments, one of their challenges is to how do we have these different databases integrate and talk to each other. I think that's a microcosm of what we have in the government of Canada. Of course, we have protection, we have privacy information laws that we have to validate, and there's some information that can't be shared easily. We have to ensure that there are proper safeguards, but we also have to ensure that we share data where appropriate and then harness that. And I think there are several initiatives that are underway right now that are going to help to this. And vendor management is just one of those examples.
There's a question, or there's a comment in the webinar chat, I think that is relevant, which is, and I welcome all of you to answer, is there thought to having a working group between large and small departments to like consolidate, discuss, or share lessons learned in developing AI enabling tools such as those developed by GAC and SSC? Is anybody aware of any?
I'm fairly certain there's already on GC Connects, AI community of practice. So that's absolutely where I would recommend you look into that. But yeah, there's already something GOC wide.
Okay, so one of the comments is traditionally competitive processes such as RFPs could take anywhere from 10 to 18 months, as we know, to compete when requirements are sent to PSPC because it exceeds the delegated authority. Does the agile process enable to shorten this time? Or yeah, so I don't know, we don't have anybody on the panel from PSPC, but I think that could be applied generally to any of PSPC's clients. So does anybody have any comment on that?
Can I jump in just quickly before turning to Maha? This is a question we got a lot from our clients. I have to start by saying that agile procurement doesn't mean fast procurement. In agile procurement, the objective of it is to avoid having a failed procurement at the end. It's a procurement that enables us to work with industry on new problems for which we don't have necessarily a solid understanding of what the outcome is going to be. So the myth of having an agile procurement to be fast, it is not. Those are not, they don't go hand in hand. The traditional way of RFP, we prepare our documentation, we throw it over the fence to the industry, hoping somebody will provide us something meaningful. This is that Agile addresses this old archaic methodology of RFP.
That is a great point, Jean-Claude. Thank you. We do have some comments in the chat regarding I guess there's a lot of echo, so I hope that's kind of been settled since we started the webinar today. So the next question is, how does the Government of Canada govern and share how applications are built and what technology stacks are used? Are those technology stacks documented and shared publicly? Anyone?
I mean, I can say from a
especially from an SSC perspective.
From an SSC perspective, I mean, that's part of SSC's mandate, right? So with SSC acting as a technical authority for various IT related, whether it's solutions, et cetera, that is exactly the intent, right? That these systems or solutions are being built with the GOC holistic view in mind. So that's part of it. And there has been times where, specific departments will come in and try to build their own solution, and it's stopped because that doesn't align necessarily with what the Government of Canada priorities are, or from an efficiency perspective, it doesn't make sense. In terms of, I lost the question there, I think it was, but in terms of technological stacks, I'm not entirely sure, but from an SSC perspective, I mean, coming in through your client executive teams and kind of providing what you're looking for and maybe some of the solutions that the department is looking for, a client executive within the SSC, within SSC could be able to guide on that if something already exists and can be leveraged, that's already been put in place.
Perfect. And I don't know if you saw there was a question from Farah or a comment regarding your P2P system and whether it's related to SAP or SSC, or is it in-house?
Okay, so hi Farah. Yeah, so our P2P system is a commercial off-the-shelf product called Ivalua Buyer, and we've customized it to meet the policy and directives of the Government of Canada. It is connected to SSC's SAP instance, so SSC sits on PSPC's SAP instance, and so yes, there is a automated linkage between the two systems. That's only for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Danielle, this question is for you because you were talking before about your SAO template, and there's just some curiosity on what you're using. Is it Copilot, Gemini, OpenAI, and how are you managing the data privacy risks of AI?
So that's a very good question. So we're piloting now our statement of work builder. Our original at Global Affairs, we're one of the fortunate departments that is testing out Copilot right now, the Microsoft platform. So we're using Copilot mostly. Our first phase was to look externally. So what is on Canada Buys? What information is out there right now on the public domain as far as statement of works? And what could we build from there by using a tool like Copilot to go externally and pull that data internally to generate sample statements of works that we could share. In parallel, what we're now looking at is looking internally in our own systems. We have a wealth of data in our financial system with statements of work over 7 years of thousands of contracts that we have issued across the world that have statements of work in there, and how now we're using technology based on Copilot, but also internal tools, which on the more technical side, I can't speak to just because I don't know them, but there is technology internally that is being used to look at internal data in our financial systems and our data systems to then mine that to come up with things that were already approved by global affairs officers that have already been awarded in the past, but sit in our internal financial system. So how we deal with privacy issues, obviously the internal review stays internal. We don't share that external data. And from a privacy perspective, our initial pilot was to mine publicly available information that was already on this websites like Buy and Sell and so forth. So that's how we're managing it. We're still in the pilot phase. As we advance and put more thought and effort into this and develop something a little bit more, let's say, chunky, we'll have to make a privacy impact assessment. We'll have to do the regular, Government of Canada checks and balances to make sure that we aren't contravening any rules. We're not actually, infringing anybody's rights or into privacy and so forth. But all this to say, going back to an earlier question, this is how we proceed, and this is the best way. Start small, test, run pilot projects, create working groups, either interdepartmental or in your own department, and test these things out. It's the best way for us to learn how to use these things. Involve employees that are experts in their domain, that know procurement, that know material management, and run these pilots and test it out. Merci.
That's a great point, and it kind of speaks to the next comment, which is really about, we've talked about all of your individual systems and applications, but is there a main one? Would it be more achievable or valuable if we had a main tool for the Government of Canada instead of these siloed kind of approaches? Gerald, I'm going to ask you that question.
I'm kind of of the opinion that we can probably have the best of both worlds, to be honest with you, where we can see some of these initiatives led at an enterprise-wide level, and it's really going to leverage efficiency. And it's great if people can use the same tools. I think Daniel raised some really good points about, data privacy and stuff like that. And those are things that are going to be mindful of. So I do agree that if every department has to, do those PIAs, there is a little bit of a waste there. But at the same time, I really do believe that, there's a lot of value in just people having initiative. And, we tend to talk about modernization sometimes with a capital M, but there's modernization with a small m as well. And, the initiatives that, either use cases you can develop, even if you're working in a small agency and you may not have a huge team that's available or that you can dedicate. I think one of the things that's really, really cool about these tools is that you can, especially AIs, you can really play around with them And it doesn't really require that much effort that you can actually start using them to assist you in doing your work. So I think there'll be, there'll probably be some great ideas, no doubt, coming from the center. But I think it's probably a two-way dialogue. And I think, departments can also innovate and maybe bring those ideas to the center and hopefully, we can share them more broadly then. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. The next question is in French, and it kind of builds on what we've been talking about. Est-ce que les départements, est-ce qu'ils ont des mesures de retour, de mesurer les retours sur l'investissement? Fait que, par exemple, la réduction des coûts ou amélioration du service équivalent et qui sont aussi mesurés dans le temps, fait que ce soit 2 ans, 5 ans, 10 ans. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous voyez? Je vois Jean-Claude est comme oui, j'aimerais ça m'en parler.
Je vais tenter
Je
de
cède la
répondre.
parole.
Excellente question. Et c'est une question avec laquelle on se débat à chaque jour, surtout avec les dirigeants principaux de finances, comme des CFO. Pour eux autres, ils posent cette question-là. C'est quoi le retour à l'investissement? Il faut comprendre que quand on parle de la technologie, surtout ce type de technologie et de transformation, c'est difficile d'aller mesurer le retour sur l'investissement à court terme. Généralement, avec la technologie et la modernisation, on parle d'un cycle de 5 à 10 ans avant d'être capable de mesurer c'est quoi le retour. Parce qu'il y a un investissement au début, puis pour apporter des changements, puis aller mesurer ce qu'on avait fait. Et c'est un défi très important. Toute la littérature qui existe dit ben, il faut arrêter de mesurer comme par réduction. Il y a l'efficacité et il y a l'efficience, puis il y a la rapidité de ces services-là. Alors, c'est une excellente question. Je sais que les finances se posent toujours, mais mon message, il ne faut pas juste mesurer le nouveau monde avec les outils historiques. Il faut changer la façon de faire aussi.
Oui, tu as raison. Daniel, tu voulais rentrer dans la conversation?
Oui, juste un exemple. C'est pas toujours question d'efficacité retour monétaire. Nous, quand on a commencé notre initiative de l'outil de développement des énoncés des travaux, ils nous ont demandé ben, comment tu vas mesurer le succès. Puis nous, une approche qu'on a prise dans notre analyse, c'est qu'on s'est dit, ben, OK, combien de temps ça prend à nos clients à développer un énoncé des travaux? On a des clients à travers le monde, ils ne sont pas familiers, il y a des rotations, ils rentrent dans des rôles qui sont nouveaux. Combien de temps est-ce qu'ils passent sur ça? Puis là, on leur a demandé, si on vous donnait un gabarit déjà prépopulé, si on vous donnait des exemples, combien de temps ça sauverait? Puis là, il y a des clients qui nous ont dit, ça me sauverait 2, 3 jours de travail si tu me donnais un exemple. Un exemple ou 2, 3 exemples de quelque chose qui a déjà été appliqué, qui est plus ou moins dans le domaine que je recherche. Tu sais, retour sur investissement, c'est pas juste monétaire, c'est efficacité aussi. Puis,
Ouais.
comme j'ai dit, supporter nos clients. Puis, c'est pas juste nous dans l'approvisionnement en faisant ça qui va sauver de notre temps, ça va aider nos clients. Puis, c'est cette mesure-là de trouver des façons créatives de mesurer. Puis, nous, on est sorti, on a demandé. Puis là, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? Si on va mesurer, une fois qu'on utilise l'outil, on va dire, écoute, ça a-tu vraiment aidé? Quand on vous a envoyé ces exemples-là, est-ce que ça t'a vraiment sauvé du temps? Est-ce que tu as pris ça puis tu as pu avancer? Ou est-ce que tu as fallu que tu prennes d'autres temps pour réviser puis aller chercher d'autres exemples? Alors, tu sais, il faut peut-être penser un peu à l'extérieur de nos normes de mesure de finances aussi. C'est l'expérience des clients peut aussi mesurer, puis c'est là où est-ce qu'on voit beaucoup de bénéfices d'utilisation de technologie et intelligence artificielle.
Mais si je peux rajouter ce que
J'aime beaucoup
Daniel
ta
disait,
réponse.
si je peux rajouter ce que Daniel disait,
Oui.
par exemple, je pense qu'il y a peut-être des cas ciblés parce que c'est une bonne question où on pourrait évaluer le rendement d'une mesure. Peut-être un exemple, ça serait si, par exemple, tu développes un chatbot, il te donne la bonne réponse à qu'est-ce que tu recherches, combien de fois mettons, sur 10, par exemple. Je pense qu'on a peut-être tous fait l'expérience de chatbot dans nos vies privées où tu vas sur un site Internet, tu utilises un chatbot, puis après la troisième question, il ne t'a toujours pas donné la réponse que tu voulais. Ça peut effectivement être un peu frustrant. Donc, il y a peut-être quand même certaines façons de le mesurer, là, mais ça reste toujours à voir.
Merci, Gérald. Euh, There's a great question, and it's really, I think, topical today. Do you find that the work that we are doing in this area is going to provide greater accessibility towards being able to participate in procurements, especially particularly for those with disabilities?
Can I take this one?
Absolutely.
The benefits of AI, it does actually offer accessible options to both the employees as well as vendors and whatnot, because it offers, it can give you the a speech, like, all of those tools. It can help provide, render the documents accessible, make the user understand, and if you, whatever needs you have. So those tools, those initiatives actually do help promote and push the accessible agenda forward for everybody.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I want to, before I hand over the session to Min Kai, because we're coming into the last few minutes of our session today, I want to thank you all for just a great interactive session. Unfortunately, we still have many questions that I wasn't able to get to in the Q&A, but I want to thank everybody for their input. Please visit GC Connex, GC Exchange, I should say, and there's a lot of communities there where they are sharing information and departmental initiatives that you could benefit from. And so with that, I will hand over to Min Kai, who's ready.
Thank you, Josie. We're close to 1:30 p.m. and I acknowledge that many of us has commitments starting right at that time. So I'm going to be quick, although we could have continued for hours more on this subject. I see how the enthusiasm from everybody here. So a very, very big thank and applause to Josie, our moderator, and again, our panelists, Dan, Jean-Claude, Maha, and Gerald, for all you share with us today that I find very, very interesting and useful. Thank you very much for all of you also for being present today. We hope to see you again at future CPM event, the subsequent roundtable. We have 4 others, as I indicated early on. So on that, have a very good day. Happy Halloween tomorrow, everybody, and have a wonderful remaining of the week.
Thank you.
Thank
Merci à
you.
tous.
Merci.